LAX, the Los Angeles International Airport, may seem like one of the best airports in the world at first glance. But behind the scenes, there are many unsolicited mischiefs that go on in this bustling hub center. In fact, recent reports suggest that LAX may be the drug smuggling capital of the world. But why is this so? What makes this airport earn such a nasty name tag? And what are officials doing to curb the situation? Stay tuned to find out. The Los Angeles airport is home to about 50,000 workers who manage the day-to-day affairs. And it's also the transition point for about 80 million people who fly through it every year. As such, it's always busy 24/7. Knowing airports to be the major point of entry to countries, states, and territories, it goes without saying that drug pushers never fail to capitalize on air transport as a means to get their nasty merchandise overseas. And for super busy airports like LAX, well, you can say it's sitting ducks for drug smugglers. These guys somehow barely get noticed, as they've mastered the art of flying under the radar. However, recently, one law enforcement officer has sounded the alarm, tagging the Los Angeles airport as the drug trafficking hub of the world. The sheriff, who goes by the name Grady Judd, hails from Polk County, Florida. According to him, a large quantity of the drugs he has busted over the years in his part of town have poured in through LAX. At a press conference, the enthusiastic law enforcer displayed large suitcases and luggage that were packed full with drugs. He claimed the packages had been shipped into the county on domestic airlines traveling through LAX. But it didn't end there. The sheriff also disclosed that through a rigorous investigation, he managed to crack down a massive drug ring, which he believed was behind the endless shipment of drugs. But here's where it gets interesting. For some reason, these drug pushers seem to get away with the most conspicuous and obvious drug smuggling tactics. For instance, in many other airports in the world, drug mules go to the extreme to hide narcotics. Some might hide it in their pants or paint it as a fruit or some kind of grocery to throw airport officials off their scent. But mules at LAX hardly make any effort to conceal their evil merchandise. On one occasion, Officer Grady Judd and his team nabbed 6 suitcases filled with narcotics on the same airline flying into Orlando. But here's where things get a little shocking. According to Sheriff Grady Judd, they didn't so much as throw a pair of underwear in the suitcase to act like they were hiding the drugs. Now, we know drug pushers are gutsy by nature, but it takes a whole new set of balls to boldly swing by an airport with a conspicuous suitcase filled to the brim with drugs. This particular drug bust alone was enough to make the sheriff, or any concerned citizen for that matter, believe that LAX has a major drug smuggling problem. But what can be done in this situation? How can the officials possibly nip off this corrosive cancer that seems to have eaten deep into the heart of Los Angeles? Well, first things first, the officials have to find out the source, the organization, or the cartel behind the supply. Thankfully, Sheriff Judd and his team had already begun an investigation 4 years ago, leading to multiple arrests. The investigations revealed some alarming truths, like how drugs keep pouring out of LAX on a daily basis. Thanks to the ever-bustling nature of the airport and the several thousands of passengers who pass by daily, the criminals know they can always wiggle their way out of the noses of the airport police. There's barely enough time for a thorough inspection at this airport, and smugglers use this to their advantage. In the words of Sheriff Judd, they use this multi-billion-dollar travel industry as their go-to to move drugs across this country. Officer Judd believes that the extensive drug network doesn't just supply drugs to his county, but to all other parts of Florida and the United States as well. And just like he suspected, new intel has come to light that drug cases all over the United States can be traced back to LAX. In fact, some sources are calling LAX the drug trafficking hub of the world. But who is to blame for this? The TSA officials? Not quite. You see, the TSA is responsible for screening bags of passengers, but it's not in their jurisdiction to search for drugs. Jason Pantages, who works as the security director for LAX, told news agencies that their search authority is very limited. In his own words, "Our search authority is very narrow. We search for weapons, incendiaries, and explosives, and we want to keep those out of bags and off of planes." These officers use X-ray machines to detect weapons, explosives, or metal. If none of these substances is detected, the bag keeps moving. However, even this single task isn't easy for the officials, as they deal with hundreds of thousands of bags and people every day. And so, adding a drug search to the list would be asking for too much. If TSA officials wanted to screen every single passenger to check them for drugs, they'd stall everything and everyone at the airport. Nonetheless, the TSA agrees that there is a need for intense screening in these airports. But this time, they feel the LAX police should be the ones to step in. After all, whenever TSA agents accidentally discover drugs, their first line of action is to call the police and hand the suspect over. However, the LAX police aren't buying the idea. In their defense, bags are strictly the TSA's business. Speaking with news agents, Cecil Rambo, who heads the LAX police agency, said that his agency has a long list of responsibilities that they monitor daily. Among them include thefts, parking violations, and tracking down drug smugglers. Just in case you're wondering what the police do exactly, it's simple. They fish out smugglers and try to stop the drugs and their carriers from making it to the airport in the first place. In other words, they are involved in the investigative aspect of drug trafficking. And so, the big question is, if these guys abandon their duties to go peeping into passenger luggage, who'd stop the bad guys? Speaking of law enforcement agents, we can't leave out the FBI, although in this case their hands are equally tied. Special Agent David Gates admitted this during an interview. It's complicated because this airport is so complicated. But perhaps what's most complicated is how drug cartels have gained such a foothold on the airport. Investigation showed that the cartels have built strong connections over the years and now have trusted lieutenants and police officers working for them in Los Angeles. These moles help bring the drugs into the state and also help cover the tracks of these smugglers. Then again, there are many brokers and drug merchants in the LA area, so these criminals easily make millions off their products in no time. Now the cartels are growing richer and more powerful by the day, all thanks to the airport. These drug syndicates have literally turned the airport into their global distribution center. Recent investigations show that Mexican cartels are among the top patronizers of this airport. The more drugs the cartels pour into the city, the more money they make. And here's another twist. Los Angeles in Southern California isn't just home to the busiest airport, but is also home to the largest seaport in the US. Plus, there's also a major international mail facility. All of these are easy avenues drug dealers exploit to get their narcotics into town. It's no wonder why drug abuse in the US is at an all-time high. From cocaine to methamphetamine and heroin, drugs are abundant in LA. And thanks to the many transportation methods, by air, sea, or land, drug barons can easily ship off to other countries and make insane profits. John Paschuco, who works for Homeland Security, made a shocking revelation of how much a drug mule can make if they resell their drugs in other countries like New Zealand. You can get a pound of meth here for probably $800 in Los Angeles, and you can turn it into $200,000 with a 16-hour flight. Any way you look at it, that profit margin is insane. And it's no surprise why so many individuals are opting to become mules for drug barons. Reports have it that some drug movers are paid as much as $100,000 for just making one successful shipment. And yet, this happens on a daily basis. Every day, the criminals get more creative, and officials are getting fed up and are now hell-bent on settling the score once and for all. In Sheriff Grady Judd's opinion, stopping these criminals is a shared responsibility. It will require all hands to be on deck, both locally and internationally. But is it really possible to cripple a multi-billion-dollar drug syndicate? And what exactly can be done to block off all illegal narcotics flying through LAX? Let us know your thoughts in the comments. That's all for this video. Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe to our channel to enjoy more videos like this. Join us next time. Bye for now.